All right, so the sixth one, we are going to do the calculations regarding the memory calculation part. So in the sixth question, it says a byte addressable physical memory has a 12-bit frame, right? So as the frame number, it has 12 bits and size of a frame is 32 kilobytes, right? So 12 bits in the frame, 12 bits for the frame number, and 32 kilobytes is the size of the frame, right? So if I take the sixth one over here, so our sketch is going to be how? It is a physical address. So we are going to find the frame number. And the offset, or we call it the displacement sometimes. So for frame number, they say you got 12 bits. And size of a frame is 32 kilobyte. So the frame size is 32 kilobytes. Right, so those are the details that we got. We don't know how big the offset is. I'll take it as X, right? So the first question that they are asking is number of bits used to represent offset. So what is the equation that we can use? We can use the frame size equation, right? So we can say frame size is equal to 2 to the power offset bits, right? So the frame size, it says 32 kilobytes, and this says it is a byte addressable memory, right? So the byte addressable means you have to convert these 32 kilobytes into the bytes. So I'll take offset bit as X, so it is 2 to the power X. So 32 kilobytes means 32 can be written as 2 to the power 5. From KB to byte, I need another 2 to the power 10. Right? So this will be the value in byte. So it is 2 to the power X. That means 2 to the power X equals to 2 to the power 15. So we can say, therefore, the offset bits are equals to 12. I'm sorry, equals to 15. Right, so we get to know the X is 15. Right, so that's the first finding. So then that is the answer for the A. And in the part B, it is asking number of frames. So how we are going to find the number of frames? Taking the frame number bits as a 2 to the power, right? So number of frames is going to equal 2 to the power 12, right? So that means it's 4096 frames are there, right? And this part C is asking total number of bits in physical memory address. So it's easy. We get to know the X is 15. So total number of bits is going to be 12 plus 15, which means 27. And it is asking maximum physical memory capacity in megabytes. So maximum physical memory capacity, how we are going to find it? You can find it using 2 to the power total number of bits. That means 2 to the power 27. And this is going to be there from bytes. So we have to convert byte into megabytes. How we are going to convert bytes from the megabytes? This 2 to the power 27 will be taken as it is. And our journey is going to be from byte to kilobyte and kilobyte to megabyte. So from byte to kilobyte, we need 2 to the power minus 10 And from megabyte to kilobyte, we need another 2 to the power minus 10. So that gives us the answer 2 to the power 7, because 2 to the power minus 20 into 2 to the power positive 27. This is in MB, which gives you 120 MB as your answer, right? So the very last one, the address range is going to be 0 to 2 to the power 27 minus 1. Okay, who got this all correct? Yes, I remember some of you have sent me the answers. Had it all correct. Osanda, very good. Right? Yes, great, Lalindi. Right, that's good. That's good. All right. Okay. 7th question. If you got anything, any mistakes regarding this, so it's time for you to do the corrections. I'll keep it for a minute. And meanwhile, is there anyone who has not done with the 7th one? If so, I can give you some time to do it. Anyone who has not done with the 7th question? Okay. So I'm moving to the 7th one. Right. So the 7th one, it describes, yeah, let me clean these things. Yeah, it describes a bit addressable physical memory, has 22 bits to represent the offset, and there are 512 frames. Hold on a second, people, give me a time. Okay, one of your friend has missed the link, so I have to send it. All right, let's continue. Yes, what we are doing. So here in the 7th one, we are talking about a bit addressable physical memory has 22 bits to represent an offset, and there are 512 frames in it. right? Okay. So how we are going to draw the sketch over here? Right, for the 7th one, we got a particular address. Which has 22 bits to represent the offset, it says. So offset, it has 22 bits. And we don't know about the frame number. Right, let's take it as X. And it says there are 512 frames in it. So we got 512 frames. Right. So what are we going to do? The first one is asking number of bits used to represent frame number. So to give the answer for the part A, we can say number of frames right? Number of frames are equals to 2 to the power frame number bits. Right? So what are we going to do is number of frames are given to us, which is 512 is equals to 2 to the power x. So 512 means it is a 2 to the power 9, which is equal to 2 to the power x. Right? So therefore we can say number of frames, I'm sorry, not number of frames, it's frame number bits. Frame number bits equals to 9. Right? And in part B, here it says size of a frame in megabytes. So we know that offset is having 22 bits here, right? And this is a bit addressable one. So you have to be careful, right? So size of a frame. Size of a frame equals 2 to the power offset bits. Right? So 2 to the power offset bit means 2 to the power 22. Now the capacity is going to come as bits. Right? So it is asking how big the frame is using megabytes, it's saying. So we have to convert bits into megabytes. How we are going to convert bits into megabytes? So the journey is bit will become byte, byte will become kilobytes, and kilobytes will become megabytes. Right? So how it's going to be? 2 to the power 22 will be there. From bits to byte, you need 2 to the power minus 3. From byte to kilobyte, you need 2 to the power minus 10. From kilobyte to megabyte, you need 2 to the power another minus 10. So altogether, how it is going to be? 2 to the power 22 into 2 to the power minus 23. That means 2 to the power minus 1. 2 to the power minus 1 means 1 over 2 to the power 1. Right? So this is 2 to the power minus 1, which equals 1 over 2 to the power 1. So these are in megabytes. So this means how many? 0.5 megabytes. Right, so the size of a frame in megabytes in the 7th question, it's 0.5 megabytes. Let me do a good morning. We are discussing the 7th question. We have discussed the 6th one earlier. You may refer it from the recordings that we have done, right? And check whether these answers are okay with you, right? So then,
Okay, sir.
right, okay, and this in the part C, it says total number of bits in physical memory address. Now, total number of bits are easy to find. In the part A, we found there are 9 bits in the frame number, and we know it is already 22 bits are there to represent offset. So total means 9 plus 22, right? So for part C, for this one, the answer is 9 plus 22 bits. That means how many? 31. There are 31 total number of bits in the address. So the final one is asking maximum physical memory capacity in gigabytes. All right, so that's the part D. So we know to find the maximum memory capacity, we have to take 2 to the power total bits in address, right? So how it's going to be? 2 to the power 31. This comes as a bits, right? So we have to convert these bits into the bytes, right? So how it's going to be? We convert bits into gigabytes. So the journey is bit become bytes, byte become kilobytes, kilobyte become megabytes, and megabytes become gigabytes, right? So 2 to the power 31 will be taken as 2 to the power 31. Bits into bytes will give you 2 to the power minus 3. This into this will give you 2 to the power minus 10. Kilobytes into megabyte, 2 to the power minus 10. Gigabytes to megabytes to gigabytes, again 2 to the power minus 10. Which gives you 2 to the power 31 into 2 to the power minus 33. So this gives you 2 to the power minus 2 in gigabytes, which means 1 over 2 to the power 2 gigabytes, which means 1 over 4 gigabytes, which is equal 0.25 gigabytes. Right. Finally, they are asking the address range as the E part. So it is 0 to 2 to the power 31 minus 1. Simple as that. Okay. So this is the answer for the 7th question. Who got it all correct, people? Yes, Lalindi, very good. Right, so for part A, it is 9. Part B, Osanda, that's good, Buddha. Right, and for part B, it is 0.5. Part C, it is 31. Divyangana, very good. Part D, it is 0.25 gigabytes. And for part E, 0 to 2 to the power 31 minus 1. In case if you got any mistakes, it's time for you to do it. Very good, Nedmi. Right? Keep it up, people. You are doing very good. Right, so if you got any mistakes, it's time for you to do the corrections. I'll give you a minute, then I'm moving to do the 8th one. And people, if you got anything not clear with this, let me know, right? Right. So is everyone done with the 8th question? Is there anyone who has not tried the 8th? Yes, anyone? Okay, seems everyone has done with that. So let's go for the 8th as well. So the 8th, it's another simple thing, but here it says a byte addressable logical memory has 28 bits to represent offset, and there are 2048 pages, right? So how it's going to be, now we know this is very easy for us now, right? So here we are doing the 8th one. Right, so it is a byte addressable memory. We got 28 bits to offset. So offset 28 bits. And we don't know how many is there for page number. So we take it as X. But we know there are 2048 pages, right? 2048 pages. So the first one, the part A is asking number of bits used to represent a page number. So how we are going to take it? Number of pages are equals to 2 to the power page number bits, right? So how we are doing that? There are 2048 pages. That is equals to 2 to the power x, because we have given the page number which as x. 2048 means 2 to the power 11. So it is equals to 2 to the power x. Therefore, page number bits are equals to 11. First answer for the part A. Then it is asking size of a page in megabytes. Size of a page. So part B, page size is equal to 2 to the power offset bits. That means 2 to the power 28. The unit comes as byte because the question says it is a byte addressable one. Right? Here, it is a byte addressable one. Right? So for that reason, the 2 to the power 28 bytes are there. So we are going to convert this into the megabytes, right? So byte become kilobytes, kilobyte will become megabytes. So 2 to the power 28 comes there. Then from byte to kilobyte, it's 2 to the power minus 10. From kilobytes to megabytes, it's 2 to the power minus 10. So this equals 2 to the power 8 megabytes. That means 256 megabytes. So the answer for part B. Third one, it is asking total number of bits in logical memory address. So we get to know that x is equals to 11. So 28 plus 11, right? 38, 39, right? Yes, there are 39. So for this, it's 11 plus 28, it's 39 bits are there in the address. Maximum logical memory capacity in gigabytes. So that is easy. How we are going to do that? This is going to give us 2 to the power from 2 to the power total bits. Right, and it gives us what? 2 to the power 39 bytes. So if we move from bytes to gigabytes, kilobytes, megabytes, then we got gigabytes. So what will happen? 2 to the power 39 will be here. 2 to the power minus 10 is for this. Another 2 to the power minus 10 is for this. And another 2 to the power minus 10 is for this. So that gives you 2 to the power 9 gigabytes, which is equals to 512 gigabytes. Right, so that is the maximum logical memory capacity, and the address range is going to be 0 to 2 to the power 39 minus 1. Okay, who got this correct? Okay, Osandra, very good. All right, Lalindi, well done. So in case if you got anything wrong, it's time for you to correct your mistakes. Right. Has everyone is done with the 9th question? Who has not? All right. Who has not tried the 9th? 9th is kind of a big one because it is a question which talks about mapping actually from the logical memory to physical memory. Who has not tried it yet? Is there anyone? Lalindi, I got your answers, Brewer. I'll go through it. Okay, so that's great. Seems everyone has tried it. So let's try the 9th question. Right now, when we are doing the 9th, it's better you understand the concept behind this, right? So to take your attention, I'll take the small diagram that I showed to you. Right. Now, yeah, where is my question? Right. Now, this is the one you need to understand when you are doing the 9th and the 10th. The 9 and 10th is talking about that big diagram we drew. Right? So do you remember that big diagram we drew? Something like this. Right, so I think your one is much descriptive. It is somewhere over here, I guess. Yeah, there you go. Right. So now in the calculation, we are doing this part, this calculation, this mapping actually. Right. So when you are mapping the logical address into the physical address, what you have to remember is number of bits in the offset is not going to change. It's the only thing that you have to remember when you are doing that mapping. Right? So let's see how this is going to happen. Right, so in the 9th question, yeah, it is saying something like this. So for your convenience, I will get rid of this part. Otherwise, the question won't be that clear for you. Okay. So it says a byte addressable logical memory has 30 bits to represent offset, and there are 2048 pages in it. This is being mapped to a byte addressable physical memory, which use 15 bits for frame number. Find the followings. So for the first time, the question talks about two addresses, a logical one and a physical one. So that is the thing which actually happens during the address mapping, right? So far we have dealt with only one particular diagram, as you can remember. So from this math onward, we are going to work with two particular diagrams, because we need to have a diagram for the logical address and we need to have a diagram for the physical address as well, right? So let's see. Let's slowly take these things down, right? Now it says a byte addressable logical memory has 30 bits to represent offset. So first we are going to draw about the logical memory. So logical memory, it says it has 30 bits to represent offset. So offset, there are 30 bits. And there are 2048 pages in it. So we don't know how many page bits are there, but it says there are 2048 pages, right? 2048 pages. So let's take this as X, right? So this is what? The logical address. And then about the physical address. About the physical address, it says this has been mapped to a byte addressable physical memory which uses 15 bits for frame number. So if this is the physical address, frame number will be there, offset will be there. So the question says 15 bits are there for the frame number. So this is, it has 15 bits. And the hidden information is this offset contains 30 bits. Why it is, how we can say it contains 30 bits? From here. Because when you are mapping the address, the offset never changed. So if you know the number of bits in a one particular address, there are going to be the same amount of bits in the other particular address as well. So if you know the logical offset, it's going to be the physical offset. The same number of bits will be there for the physical offset. If you know the physical offset, then the same amount of bits are there for the logical offset. That is the fact that you have to capture. Then it is a piece of cake. Since we got the experience now, and since we know how to do this, we are going to continue the calculation. So how it's going to be? The first one, it is asking about number of bits used to represent page number, right? So we don't know about the page number bits, but we know how many pages are there, right? So we do the calculation. Let me take this drawing to the place that I am going to do the calculation. Okay, so this is the 9th question. So for my convenience, I will open the calculations from here. It will be easier. Yeah. So the first it asks number of bits used to represent the page number. So here we go. Part A. Number of pages equals 2 to the power page number bits, right? So number of pages, how? It's 2048 equals to 2 to the power x. Let's say 2048 means what? 2 to the power 11 equals 2 to the power x, right? So therefore we can say page number bits equals 11. So the part B, size of a page in gigabytes. So we know offset is 30, and this is saying it is a byte addressable one. All right, so that means we are going to receive the capacity in bytes, right? So then the page size equals 2 to the power offset bits. Right? So then how it's going to be? 2 to the power offset bits are 30. So this is from bytes. So we are going to convert this into the gigabytes. So byte, it's kilobytes, from kilobytes to megabytes, and from megabytes to gigabytes. So how it is going to go? It's 2 to the power 30, byte to kilobyte, 2 to the power minus 10, kilobytes to megabyte, 2 to the power minus 10, megabytes to gigabyte, 2 to the power minus 10. This gives you some funny answer for you. It's 2 to the power 30 into 2 to the power minus 30. This means 2 to the power 0 gigabytes. This means 1 gigabyte, not 0 gigabyte, people. Right? 0, obviously that cannot be. Right? 0 gigabyte means like no capacity. Right? So it is 1 gigabytes. 2 to the power 0 is 1. So the answer is going to be 1 gigabytes. Right? So in part C, total number of bits in logical memory address. Now we know, right? We found that X is equals to 11. So this is 11. That means the total bits are going to be 41, right? Therefore, part C, total bits are going to be 11 plus 30, which means 41. And then it is asking maximum logical memory capacity in terabytes, right? So we can say maximum logical memory capacity equals to 2 to the power total bits. So it's going to be 2 to the power 41 bytes. Right, so we have to convert this 2 to the power 41 into the gigabytes. I'm sorry, for the terabytes. So 2 to the power 41 is taken. Our journey, bytes into kilobytes, kilobytes into megabytes, megabytes into gigabytes, and gigabytes into terabytes. So 2 to the power minus 10, 2 to the power minus 10, 2 to the power minus 10. For this, again 2 to the power minus 10. That means 2 to the power 1 terabyte. That means 2 TB. Right, so that is the part D's answer. Then part E, what does it contains? Address range of logical memory. Yes, what is the address range of logical memory? It got 41 bits in its address. So the address range 0 to 2 to the power 41 minus 1. Right, so that is the things regarding the logical memory. Now from here onwards, it is talking about the physical memory, size of a frame in physical memory. Now people, when they are asking this question, you don't need to do any calculation, right? Can you remember I told you when we are discussing that diagram, size of a frame is equals to a size of a page. Right, that is how I explains how the pages are being mapped into the frames. So you don't need to do the calculation again. You can straight away take the frame size, page size, then you can apply it to the frame size. Right, so we know the page size. It is 1 GB. Right. So here what we are going to say is page size equals to frame size equals 1 GB. Simple as that. You don't need to do any calculations. Right? And in G part, what they are asking is number of frames in a physical memory. Now that, of course, can be changed because number of frames depends on the frame number. Right? So we can say number of frames equals 2 to the power frame number bits. Right? So frame number, how many number of bits are there in the frame? Let me see my sketch. There you go. It says the frame number contains 15 bits. Right? So the 15 bits are going to be there with the frame number. So the calculation goes how? 2 to the power 15. Right? So number of frames. Now, since it's a little bit big number, you are not going to solve it. So just keep it as number of frames. Say 2 to the power 15. And H is going to ask another question from us. Total number of bits in physical memory address. Now, that is something we have revealed already. Sketch 15 plus 30, it's going to be 45. Right? So we can say number of bits in physical address. So it's going to be 15 plus 30 equals to 45. Isn't it so? Yes. Okay. The ith part, maximum physical memory capacity in terabytes, it's asking. So maximum physical memory capacity is equals to 2 to the power so it's going to be 2 to the power 45. This is in bytes. So how we are going to convert this into the terabytes? Again, the same road. Byte into kilobyte, kilobyte into megabyte, megabyte into gigabyte, gigabyte into terabytes. So how we are going to convert this? This is 2 to the power 45 into, from this to the power minus 10, from this to the power minus 10. And this contains 2 to the power minus 10 again, as well as this. right? So it gives you 2 to the power 5 terabytes. That means 32 terabytes. So the address range, that is easy. So for part E, the address range is going to be, I'm sorry, F, G, H, I, J, 0 to 2 to the power 45 minus 1. Okay, who got this all correct? Anyone? Very good, Larindi. Rosanda, very good. Right, others, if you got any mistakes, it's time for you to capture it. All right, so the very final question. Okay, Osanda. Okay, that's the 9th one. Good, good. Anyone who have not done the 10th one? Right. So the 10th one, the very last question. So it's something very similar to the 9th one. It has part over here, part over there. Come on. All right, so it says a bit addressable logical memory has 10 bits to represent page number and page size is 1 megabytes. This is being mapped to a bit addressable physical memory, which has 4096 frames, right? So find the followings. Okay, people, just a second. Right. So the 10th one, the final one. A bit addressable logical memory has 10 bits to represent page number and the page size is 1 MB. So here we draw the sketch. This is logical memory. Address. So it has page number and offset. Just a second. Right. So sorry for the disturbance, people. This says the 10 bits to represent page number. So this has 10 bits. And we don't know how much is there for the offset. Let's take it as X. And it says there are 1 MB size of a page. So page size equals 1 MB. And it says this being mapped to a bit addressable. Both are bit addressable. Bit addressable physical memory, which has 4096 frames. Right, so 4096 frames. It says, so the physical address physical memory address, it has frame number and offset, and it says how many? 4096 frames are there. Yeah, so we don't know what is the value of this. Let's take it by bits. So 4096 frames are there. So what is the bonus? Offset is going to be X again. We don't know what's the X is still, but it is going to be X again, and page size and the frame size is going to be the same, right? So we don't need to mention it over here. So this is the situation. So now the 10th one, the first one, it is asking number of bits used to represent offset in logical memory. So that, of course, can be done using the page size equal to the power offset bits equation, right? Okay, I'm going to do it at the lower part of this. So part A, were they asking about the page? Yeah, offset. Yes. So I can say page size equal to the power offset bits. Right, so the page size means it is how much? 1 MB equals to the power X we can take. Right, so that means 1 MB means what? we have to take it from the bits. So 1 MB should be converted into bits. So MB become KB, KB become bytes, bytes become bits. So 1, we can take 1 as 2 to the power 0. MB to KB, it's 2 to the power 10. KB to B, it's 2 to the power 10. Bits to byte, it is 2 to the power 3. So this much of bits equals 2 to the power x. So x is equal to 23, right? Because 2 to the power 23 equals 2 to the power x, therefore x is equal 23. That means number of bits in the offset is going to equal to 23. Right. So this means the physical address offset is also going to have 23 bits as well, because offsets are same in size, right? Okay, then number of pages, it should be number of pages in logical memory. So it says 10 bits to represent the page number. So in part B, number of pages equals 2 to the power page number bits. So that means 2 to the power 10. That means 1024 pages are there in the logical address space. And part C, total number of bits in logical memory address. So now we get to know about the X. So the total number of bits equals 23 plus 10. Right? So that gives you 33 bits are there. Then it is asking maximum logical memory capacity in gigabytes. දැන් මේක දිගටම හදාගෙනට ඔයගලන්ට සමහරලාට උත්තර දිහා බලලා නිකන් උත්තරේ කියන්න පුළුවන්. Right, so the total logical memory capacity equals 2 to the power total bits. So that means 2 to the power 33, this comes as, it's a bit addressable, right? Yeah, as bits. So then we have to convert this into the gigabytes, right? So bits will become byte, byte will become kilobyte, kilobyte will become megabyte, and megabyte will become gigabyte. So 2 to the power 23, and from here it's 2 to the power minus 3, here it's 2 to the power minus 10, this one to 2 to the power minus 10 again. Right, and again 2 to the power minus 10 for this conversion. So that gives you 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 0 GB, that means 1 GB. Just a second, paper. right? So it is the total memory capacity, which is 1 GB. So the address range of logical memory, so it's easy. It is from 0 to 2 to the power 23 minus 1. Right? Then the F part. Size of a frame in physical memory in MB. So I told you, we don't need to worry about it. Size of a frame, or like the frame size equals page size equals 1 MB. Simple calculation. G, it is asking number of bits used to represent frame number in physical memory. Now that can be changed. Neither in the question, it says there are 4096 frames. So number of frames equals 2 to the power frame number bits. So it is equals to 4096 is equals to, let's say, 2 to the power x. 4096 means 2 to the power 12, right? Does it? Yes. And this equals to the power x. So we are going to say, therefore, frame number bits equals to it. Now with that, we can find the total number of bits in the physical memory, right? So total number of bits in physical memory address, which is equals to 12 plus, how much were there for the frame at the offset? We got 23. So 12 plus 23 equals 35. Right. Then they are asking maximum physical memory capacity. So maximum physical memory capacity equals 2 to the power total bits so that means 2 to the power 35, and the answer is going to be there from bits, right? It's better you not to put this unit over here. It's just 35 is good for the H part. I'm saying for I part it's 2 to the power 32 bits, and now we are going to convert 2 to the power 35 bits into the gigabytes. Bits into byte, byte into kilobyte, kilobyte into megabyte, megabyte into gigabyte. So this is the way it goes, 2 to the power 35 into 2 to the power minus 10, 2 to the power minus 10, 2 to the power minus 10. I'm sorry, my bad. This is going to be 2 to the power minus 3. This is 2 to the power minus 10. Right, so this gives 2 to the power 35 into 2 to the power minus 33, which gives us 2 to the power 2 GB, which means 4 GB. So the final one, it asks is the address range. It is from 0 to 2 to the power 35 minus 1. Right. Who got it all correct? Right. Very good, Lalindi. Osanda, very good. How about others? So if you got any mistakes, it's time for you to do the corrections. Yes. Others, okay. Is it only Osanda and the Lalindi who got all correct? And people, the most important thing is get to know where the places you are making the mistakes, right? So don't let it happen again. All right? So try to figure it out alone. If you can't have a help, okay, Sachintani, right? Okay, right? Okay. So learn the things regarding D and I doer, right? Right. So make the corrections. Then after we'll move to the very last part of the operating systems. I think we will be able to finish up the lesson today. Right. And people, more importantly, we have to practice the questions which we follow, which we find in 2019 and 2020 regarding memory calculation. Now, it is a different level of the question, a different approach. That for that, you will definitely need your diagram or the concept which is happening there, right? Okay, is there anyone still writing things down? If not, I can move to the latter part of the lesson. Okay, so let's move to the theory part of your lesson, the very end part of the OS lesson. Right, so we did up to the paging, we did up to the mapping. So these are the things we were talking about, people, right? So I'm not going to go through the paging, that concept. We have drawn it very clearly using the diagram we have done over here, right? So yes, this gives you a very good idea about how the things are going to happen. Now, as the last part, we have to talk about the input and output device management, right? So input and output device management, it is talking about another managing side of an operating system. So far we have talked about different kinds of management regarding the operating system, right? So we talked about the process management, we talk about the security management, we talk about the resource management, right? So now we are going to talk about input and output device management. So this is talking about more onto the peripheral devices like printers, scanners, the keyboards, mouse, pen drives, and all these things, right? So when it compares to a computer system, these peripheral computer system itself is a machine or a device, and the peripheral devices are also some particular devices which is connected to the computer, right? So when you fix a pen drive, computer understands, okay, I am fixed with a pen drive, right? So how this is happening? Now there is a particular hardware called device controllers, as well as there is a particular software called device drivers. So an operating system will use these device drivers to introduce a peripheral device. Peripheral devices කියන්නේ අපි එළියෙන් connect කරන devices වලට computer system එකට. So operating system will use these device drivers to introduce these peripheral devices into the computer system, right? So without the device drivers, operating system will not be able to have this communication, right? It's not only the operating system. Operating system use device drivers with it to identify the devices which is connected to it. Now, back like 10 to 15 years back, when we are having a particular CD drive, or sometimes when we are having a particular hard disk, sometimes we are having a very small amount capacity type of a pen drive, where we have to specifically install the device drivers into the operating system on those days, right? Specifically when you are purchasing a new device, you will be getting a device driver CD with you. So we have to fix that particular component. Then we have to install the drivers from the CD or the DVD which is receiving us when we are purchasing the drive. Nowadays, most of the devices came into a place which we call as plug and play devices, right? Now, plug and play devices means we are just plugging the device into the system or connecting the device into the system with the help of the operating system or with the help of the device itself. It is installing the device drivers into the computer. We are not interacting of installing any device drivers, but that device itself or the operating system with the help of the device will be having the device drivers installed into the operating system, right? So you may have the experience of this when you are working with a particular pen drive or with external hard disk kind of things, even with a mouse and a keyboard. When you are connecting a particular device for the very first time to your computer, it takes a little time to recognize this device. Then after, you will see a small pop-up message somewhere over here saying your device is ready to use, or the device drivers are successfully installed, something like that. But we are not doing anything regarding that. It's the operating system or the device which is doing, or like which is installing the device driver on behalf of us, right? And don't have the wrong idea. Plug and play device means it does not need any device drivers to execute. The story is not like that. Every device needs a device driver, and there are many devices which has the ability of installing their device drivers by their self or without any user interactions into the computer when they fix into the computer system. But there are certain devices still where we have to install the device drivers by ourselves, maybe using a CD which is provided to us, or maybe visiting to their official website, or maybe downloading the drivers from the internet, right? As an example, a printer. Now, you won't be able to use a printer without installing the drivers into your system. The printer may detect. Sometimes some printers are having the capability of printing out using some particular printers as a plug and play device, but actually not, right? So like printer is something which has the capability of many things, right? If you take the printer itself, it can print many different kinds of sheets or many different sizes of sheets, right? Sometimes some printers are capable of scanning the documents as well. Some printers are having 3-in-1 type, the scanning, copying, and printing, right? And some has 4-in-1, like fax is there, scan is there, print is there, copying is there, right? So, and some printers has the ability of printing different paper size, A4 sheets, A3 sheets, A2 sheets, A5 sheets, kind of things, right? So that means the devices like printers are a little bit complex by themselves, right? So because of that, unlike a mouse, a keyboard, a pen drive, they cannot hold all the device drivers inside their machine. So like, that particular device needs a storage. So printer cannot have that much of details inside the printer memory. Printer memory is a very small kind of memory. So because of that, the providers, the manufacturers of the printers, they will burn a CD with the device drivers or a DVD and will be hand them over to the sellers or the retailers. So we will receive those things when we purchase a particular printer from the market, right? So then what we have to do is, there are some instructions to be followed when the printer is being installed into your computer. So you have to fix the printer, and then you're using the CD or the now most of the cases now they are providing you a link to connect with a particular website, and they are asking you to download the drivers from the official website. If you take a Canon printer, you have to download the drivers from the Canon official website. So then you have to get installed those things into your computer to have the total capabilities of that particular printer through your computer, all right? So regarding the device drivers, those are the things that you need to remember, right? So we need device drivers to understand, not we actually, a computer needs device drivers to understand another device, about another device. So device drivers will help to talk a device to the computer and computer to a device, right? And there are devices which has the capability of installing the device drivers by themselves, which we call plug and play devices. And there are certain devices where we have to install the device drivers by ourselves, right? So anyhow, if the operating system is absent, just having the device drivers will not give you the ability to connect a particular device with the computer system and get to use of that. Operating system is the one who maintains it, right? He can recognize the device drivers. Through that, he can recognize the devices which is connected to it. Okay, so then after, the concept called spooling, right? Now, to give you an idea about the spooling, I'll print this PDF document, right? And you may look closely. When I'm sending this document to printer, you will see a small dialog box in front of the screen, and it may appear the word spooling. If we are really lucky, we will see that, right? Let's check whether you'll be able to see that. So here I'm going to print this, right? And I'm going to set up the page size. Page size has nothing to do with the spooling, right? Now I'm going to print this. So I'm clicking the print button. Then a small dialog box will appear. Then just look very carefully whether you can find out the word called spooling, right? Here we go. Flattening, flattening, flattening. Come on, give me the spooling. No, it is just give us the thing called spooling. Hold on. Let us check that again. Print. I'll choose the printer from here. Suddenly it become not responding, people. Hold on. Let me open it again. Okay, here I go again. Let's look closely whether we are going to find the word spooling. Flattening, flattening. Oh no, no, you're not that lucky to see that. Hold on. No. Okay, never mind. I was trying to give you some idea about the spooling with the printing a particular document, but unfortunately we didn't have that chance. So I talked about the spooling. Now spooling is something like this. Now why I was taking the printing process, it is because now earlier we have learned there are two types of processors, right? Not the CPU I'm talking about. The meaning is kriyavali, process, right? Two types of process. One is IO bound process. No, Susu, that is doing the class, please. Okay, okay. Right, that is doing the class. Right, so one particular process is IO bound process. The other particular process is processor bound process or CPU bound process. Right. So when okay. Hold on a second, people. Okay, so like I said, there are two types of processors, which is IO bound process and CPU bound process. CPU bound process, comparatively, they are faster than the IO bound process. Now, since we are asking to have a printout, I am running this PDF document in my CPU for the moment, right? And it is a CPU bound process. My PDF document is a CPU bound process. When I am sending the printing command from the PDF, it goes as the command in the speed of the CPU, right? Because this is a CPU bound process. But when it comes to the printer, the printing process is a I/O bound process, input-output device bound process. That means literally it depends on the speed of the printer. Now, speed of the printer and speed of the processor are two different speeds, right? Then අපි අර පොඩි කාලේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ සෙල්ලමක් කරනවා අර කැප් එක පාස් කරනවා හරි බෝල් එක පාස් කරනවා හරි රවුමට ඉඳගෙන, right? ඒතර ඕක තව ලස්සනට කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒ අත්දැකීම අරගෙන තියෙනවද දන්නේ අපි මොනවා හරි building constructions වලදී ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා ඇති ඒකේ වැඩ කරන ඉන්න බාසුන් හැලා ටික ඒගොල්ලෝ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ওই ගඩොල් වගේ දේවල් පාස් කරගන්නේ ටක් ගාලා පේලියක් හැදිලා එක තැනක ඉඳලා අනිත් තැනට පාස් කරනවා. right? කෙලවරේම ඉන්න කෙනා ගඩොල අරගෙන තියලා එතන ස්ටැක් එක හදාගන්නවා. දැන් ওই ගඩොල් පාස් කරන වැඩකදී එක්කෙනෙක් හයියෙන් ගඩොල් පාස් කරනකොට අනිත් එක්කෙනා හිමින් ගඩොල් පාස් කරොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? ගඩොල් දෙක තුනක් අරයාගේ ඇඟේ වැදිලා හරි නැත්නම් එයාට අල්ල ගන්න බැරුව හරි වැටෙනවා. Same happens here. CPU is sending the details of the printing from the PDF document in a very speedy manner. Printer is not capable of catching all the things in the speed of the CPU. Now, if the spooling is not there, now my document has 34 pages. If the spooling were not there, I will be having the printouts randomly. First page එක යවලා first page එක print කර කර ඉන්නකොට second page එක එනවා. එතකොට print එකට ඒක අල්ල ගන්න බෑ. මොකද print එක first page එකත් එක්ක වැඩ කර කර ඉන්නේ. ඒතකොට second page එක miss වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ යවනවා third page එක. එතකොට first page එක print වෙලා ඉවරනකොට එයාට පේන්න තියෙන third page එක එනවා නම් එයා third page එක අරන් print කරනවා. If the spooling is not there. Now spooling is there to get rid of that obstacle. Spooling does what? The task of the spooling or the concept of spooling means it uses the memory and a part of the hard disk, which is the virtual memory, to stack the things in an order where the I/O bound process can access them one after the other.
I have ordered good.
So the first page is given to the printer. It will start printing. So meanwhile, if the second page comes, okay, so you stop on this particular place until the printer is done with the first page. So when the second page is there, meanwhile the first page is printing in the printer, third page may also arrive at the buffer. We call it the buffer, right? අර stack වෙන තැනට තුන්වෙනි එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර එයාට ඇවිල්ලා පොලිමේ ඉන්නවා. So first එක ඉවරුනාම ඊළඟට බලනවා කවුද පොලිමේ ඉන්නේ. second එකේ ඉන්නවා. So printer is start printing the second one. So likewise, printer will not miss any pages to print. So this can be handled because of spooling, right? So the spooling does what? It will create a particular space or a buffer, we call it, to have faster processes to be rest until the slower process is done. Right? ඉක්මනින් එන කට්ටිය නතර වෙලා බලන් ඉන්නවා අර slow process එකෙන් වැඩේ කරලා ඉවර වෙනකම්. Is that clear, people? Right, okay. All right, great. So after the spooling, we have the boot up process. Right, so this is the very last part of the note. So boot up process is explaining you how the operating system comes to the computer at the very first time. Right, so what happens when you press the power button of the computer or the system unit, the first thing that happens, it will power up the CPU and the motherboard. So motherboard has this chip called BIOS chip, which will contain a particular program or a small instructions regarding what kind of things that it needs to check before the operating system comes to play. So with the help of the BIOS, the first program that is going to be executed is called the POST program, Power on Self Test program. It will use another memory called CMOS and checks all the hardwares and the other components, other important components in the computer, whether they are working properly, right? So it checks the memory, it checks the video graphic card, it checks the other chips kind of things, right, on the circuit. So it checks all the things are on a proper manner, right? It is not a very deep check, it's just check if everything is on their place, right? Then it is accessing the hard disk to find the master boot record. Master boot record is the one which contains the starting point for the operating system, right? For that, it will have the help from a firmware called bootstrap loader, right? So the bootstrap loader is given by the manufacturer, and in that there are instructions saying how to find the MBR, master boot record. So then once the master boot record is found, then that from that particular place, the operating system will be loaded onto the RAM. Once the operating system is loaded onto the RAM, then you will see something on your screen. It's a very speedy process, right? In early days, we could see how the booting up is happening, but not with the Windows 8 and 10 things, right? In most of the cases, the process happens very fastly, and if it takes time, it won't show any instructions regarding the booting process. We were just seeing a kind of a blue screen, some dots are going around kind of things, right? So I'll show you a short video regarding this, which explains how the booting process in a descriptive manner. We'll look into this, so you will be having a good idea about the booting, right? Hold on. Yeah, there you go. Okay, let me share the screen with the sound.
You can transform your videos from looking like an 80s home video to a modern.
It's important to understand the boot process because it provides several key pieces of forensic information and allows you, as a forensic examiner, to control the boot process to use forensic booting tools. Let's take a look at what happens when you boot a computer. When you turn on your computer, the power supply sends power to the motherboard, which in turn activates the boot process. The Power on Self-Test post instructions are stored in a ROM, a read-only memory chip, as part of the BIOS, or the Basic Input-Output System. The post runs through a series of tests to make sure everything is working. Most post sequences will have a combination of audible and visual messages to let you know what is and isn't working. These are the beeps that you generally hear when your computer is booting up. The post checks your video card. At that point, you will see information from the post on the screen. The post then checks to make sure it can find a CPU and that it's communicating. Then it tests your RAM. This is a very basic check of whether it can communicate with your RAM. Now it checks for keyboard and mouse. Depending upon the type of keyboard you have, you might see the keyboard's lights flash. At this point, you would normally see an indication on the screen of how you can enter the BIOS setup program on your computer. Each BIOS software vendor will have a different keystroke, but it is often either F2, F10, or the delete key. This vendor's key is F2, and we will enter BIOS setup. This is where important forensic information is stored, including date and time information and the booting order. Your computer can be set to boot from your hard drive first, or from your CD, or a USB drive, or even from the network. If you want to boot the computer with a forensic boot CD or forensic USB device, you may need to change the boot order. Lights on each drive will flash as the post checks them for booting instructions. Most computers are set up to check the optical drive first. This makes it easier to install new operating systems. Then they check the very first hard drive, drive 0. Post is looking for the master boot record. The master boot record is always at cylinder 0, head 0, and sector 1. It points to the boot sector. Finally, post is done, and the operating system takes over.
So yeah, that's the process of booting. So in your note, people, there is a small thing which is missing right over here. So it says CMOS memory. This checks all the hardware, and let's write it like this. The first program activates the post. And other components, other peripherals, we check all the hardware and other peripherals. Right? Let me write the word and other peripherals. Right, like mouse and keyboard and all these things. Right. Okay. So people, we are officially done with the operating system. Careful, careful, don't step, don't step, don't step. Okay.
I want to wash the car.
All right, you will stay here. Go and wipe yourself and see, you're wet. Right. Okay, so Lamai, this is the end of the operating system, and we are there to discuss the past paper questions as well as the memory calculation questions from the 218 and 219, right, which is the 219 and 220 papers, right? So yeah, since there are 5 minutes more, I'm not going to go for any questions here, right? So by next week, get ready, people. We are going to do the past paper discussion. So week after, we are going to start the 6th lesson, right? So we are all done with the 5 lessons here. So we are going to start the 6th lesson. I will be printing your 6th lesson. Then you can receive the 6th lesson by next week, right? I'll let you know when to collect it, right? So, hold on, Susu. Right, so for the moment, I'll end the session from here, people. So by next week, we are going to discuss the past paper questions, right? So thank you very much. I'll meet you on next week for the very same time online still, right? I'll let you know if any physical classes are to be start, right? So මේ වෙලාවේ පොඩ්ඩක් අපි ඔහොම යමු. ටිකක් තාම වැඩි වෙන පැත්තට තියෙන නිසා ළමයිනේ I have to be consider about that, right? Okay, so I'll see you on next week. Thank you very much, right? Lalindi, yeah, there is a part which belongs to the logic gates. Yes. I'll go through that as well by next week, right? Okay. Right, okay, everyone. So have a very nice weekend, people. I'm going to end the session from here, right? Thank you very much.